Hello, my name is Cyril Noger. I'm a field application engineer. Today in this video, I will show you how to properly set up the MS2090A Field Master Pro to get the save on event function automatically recording any intermittent interfering signals. So why do we offer such a functionality in a handheld spectrum analyzer? This is pretty simple in fact, and this would make the user's life easier to record any moment of time when an unwanted signal will pop up on the screen. How to do that? We'll have to define a limit mask when there is no interfering signal on the span. To get the highest amplitude as much as possible, we'll use the Maxwell acquisition. This will then help to define the limit envelope, that is a function that automatically creates the mask for you. This envelope limit will be containing up to 41 segments and will be created based on the Maxwell trace. Once this limit will have been created, it is then very simple to go to the File menu and activate the Save on Event function. The acquisition of the traces violating the mask could be a single shot or continuous. Here are the different steps to follow in the MS2090A to configure the Save on Event function. First, it will be very useful to activate a trace 2 to get the Maxwell trace. Then, thanks to this Maxwell trace, we'll go into the Limit menu to define the envelope that will be automatically created based on this Maxwell trace. You can choose either slope or square shape for this limit that will be created for you. You'll then just need to activate the limit. Don't forget to disable the trace 2 and go back to trace 1, which is the normal acquisition. All mask violations will be based on trace 1. Then go to the File menu and activate the Save on Event and define if you want it to be continuous or single shot. From now on, every mask violation will get the unit saving a trace in memory. The graphical user interface of the MS2090A has been made intuitive to get the user an easy understanding of what's happening on the screen. Depending on the pass-fail judgment of the limit trace will simply change its color. It will go to green if it passes, it will go to red if it fails. Here is a representation of pass and fail cases on the RTSA mode. The limit judgment also tells the user which trace passes or fails the limit mask. To get a realistic understanding on how this is done on the unit, let's have a look at the graphical user interface of the MS2090A. In this example, let's say that we want to record any signals that would be different from what we see actually on the screen. For that, it is easier to define a second trace with Maxwell acquisition. Once this is done, we can see that the green trace is displaying the maximum amplitudes. Then going to the limit menu, we have to set up the envelope. This will really make your life easier rather than manually defining all the different segments of the limit mask you want to create. Here we define 41 segments to be used and slope shape for these segments. Once you've pressed with your finger the set envelope function, you can see that the limit has been automatically applied on the trace 2, which is active. We can now remove this trace 2, which is not useful anymore. Be sure that the trace 1 is active. Now the limit will be applied on this trace 1. If you're not satisfied with the limit that has been created, you can manually change any point you want by selecting a point on the screen and moving it on the vertical or horizontal axis. This manual modification of the mask can be done on any point you choose. Every time an intermittent signal will violate the masks, you'll see that the limit mask will go from green to red. You can now go to the File menu and activate the Save on Event function. Define if you want it to be single or continuous. Once this is done and activated, any mask violation will make the unit saving one trace in memory. You can see the message on top of the screen telling you that the file has been saved in memory. At the time you want to stop this save on event process, just go to the limit crossed function and put it back to off. If you are used to use this spectrogram display, you can also display it on the screen of the MS2090A. The limit mask and the save on event functions will be used the same way when there was no spectrogram on the screen. The exact same process also applies to the real-time spectrum analyzer. After having defined your mask, you can go to the File menu and activate the Save on Event function, like continuous if you wish. One of the interests of the RTSA is that it doesn't miss any moment of time. Any interfering signal popping up into the screen will be captured and will be saved in memory since you are using this save on event function. In the RTSA mode, like in the spectrum mode, you can also apply the spectrogram if you want. This will give you at the bottom of the screen a kind of history of what the RTSA has seen regarding all the different points that have been measured. As already explained, every time an interference signal will cross the limit will go to red, and since you're using the save on event, the trace file will be saved in memory. When needed, you can for sure stop this limit crossed saving function. As a final step that I would like to highlight, let's concentrate on what happened in the memory of the unit. The trace files which have been saved in memory are .fm.spa files, and the trace files in RTSA mode are .fm.rtsa files. At the time you started to use the save on event function, be aware that a folder has been created automatically in memory. This is where you will find the traces that have been saved for you. If you decide to transfer the files into your laptop, you can then recall them either in the MS2090A or in your laptop with the MS2090A remote software. So let's have a quick look at the remote software to recall a trace. Once the software is opened, use the local mode. It will allow you to recall any kind of trace you have in your laptop. There is no need to connect to any MS2090A unit. From the file menu, you can recall any trace you have already recorded. As shown here, the trace is being recalled and the limit is also being recalled. You can add markers at any time, move the markers, change the frequency, and you will find the right amplitude. You can add a marker table as well. Everything is possible offline. As shown here, the traces which are saved are not JPEG files, but real measurement files, which is allowing you to make some post-processing very easily. I hope that this video was instructive. Thanks for watching.